banging, I keep banging the beat in the club and on the street. I keep banging, I keep banging the beat in the club and on the street. I keep banging, I keep banging the beat in the club and on the street. I keep banging, I keep banging.
Welcome back, folks, to WaWa's Boot Camp Amateur Uprising Community Tournament. I am Ham Tornado, joined now by the lovely Gilfrost, or you guys may know him as the illustrious Left Guy. And I'm really excited to be bringing us our third set tonight. But all casters, we have to come up with some kind of couple celebrity name.
Yeah.
What do you think it is? It's is it a Gil Tornado or Ham Frost? Ham Frost kind of sounds like when you leave meat too long in the freezer.
Yeah, and it sounds like something I wouldn't eat, but maybe something that I'd watch cast Overwatch. So maybe the Twitch chat should decide what that would look like. There are a lot of options. Frost Tornado is one. We had some of those in Colorado today, actually.
Yeah, today,
it was
man.
Windy AF. But we're here, of course, with this community event for WaWa's, the Amateur Rising Season 2. And we're almost halfway through, I think, for our streamed matches. And they've actually been really good so far. A lot of fun plays to watch.
Oh, for sure. If you guys were able to tune in for our last match between Team Moose and TM Esports, maybe the TM in the name, that's why they were so close head-to-head, because we actually went to our first tiebreaker. Yes,
we went all the way. And I understand that one of the off-stream matches went all the way as well earlier. So the teams are definitely fairly well matched. When you talk about community level events like this, it's fairly open. We don't want to exclude anyone from joining this. Of course, the idea of this event is to get teams in, get coaches involved with them so that we can educate players and bring teams together and build them up. And so when you have an institute like that, then there's a propensity to have varying differences of skill level, but we're actually seeing these teams be very close. I do want to take just a moment while we're going to be watching this next match to shout out our sponsors, just because it's a community event, and in order to make this happen, we do have some amazing sponsors. Visor.gg, they are a pretty new and amazing analytics platform. If you want to up your game, definitely take a look. They're in early development. HyperX and Origin.gg, but we're already in the game. Team Pulses versus Team Reformed.
Reformed indeed, and once again we see two teams taking a very different approach to this map. We are on Lijiang Night Market here, one side with that quadruple tank. Reformed going to be bringing that classic 2-2-2 dive, and Anal Shipman going to be the first one picking up nulls. And so already Team Pulses on the back foot. They lost their main shield tank, however they're still battling out. A great hook in from the Roadhog, not going to be picking up anything. It's going to be anti-Sorq with the D-Mag onto Dr. Baka. And now Team Pulses have lost so much of their damage mitigation, they should be falling back soon. They're just feeding Ultra Charge at this point.
Yeah, no, right now Team Reformed has been slowly picking up kills in their favor, but Jincha gets ultimate first. That Coalescence coming out is going to take down Shipman. The Earth Shatter comes out, and that's going to knock down multiple members of Reformed.
Oh, goodness gracious. Team Pulses, it was looking so dire for them early on in this fight, but that Earth Shatter now trying to turn the tides of this team fight for Pulses. However, Moira getting a little bit caught out here. Anti-Sorq just warding away that support player. Tater Tot will be the one going down, but Shipman in with this blade. He's slicing and dicing. He's surging, but he's only going to be able to show Oxygen who's boss. He's going to have to stay happy with that one kill onto the Lucio.
Yeah, this is the first fight of this map, by the way. This is not some kind of overtime scenario, but it certainly feels like it. Team Reform continues to dominate that side of the kill feed. Finally, they get Moira down, and that seems to be the tipping point. Jincha already has another Coalescence up, but was doing such a great job of keeping Team Pulses in that it made it difficult for Team Reformed to solidify that fight. That said, they were able to find victory. Shipman getting one key kill onto Silver Sean with that Dragon Blade, and we already have seen a full round of ultimates from both of these teams.
Absolutely, but it was a slightly more expensive fight for Reformed, as they're not going to have a single ultimate for this next engage. Team Pulses coming up on both the Coalescence and that Whole Hog, that Lemonade Cannon out from Jincha. Jinja immediately trying to cut through this Team Reformed lineup, as the Reinhardt will have free reign to swing that hammer, picking up good dividends. Tater Tot once again going to be one of the first members from Team Reformed to fall, and now that Pulses has racked up those kills in the lobby, they're going to try and force their way onto the objective, but in the meantime, nobody's accounting for Jalski. This Tracer has been a madman so far, 3 kills to his name.
Yeah, and Team Reform rotating well and really pressuring Team Pulses back onto that point, even though Pulses was able to start that fight off with a couple of kills. And by the way, they only used 1 ult, so that's good. They're going to switch Jinja over to Mercy this time around. Not sure how that's going to work out, but they stood on top of Null 5's Earthshatter a long time in that fight. I would have liked to have seen them use it. They are going to have it up for this fight, not to mention a Pharah switch for their side.
Yeah, so Jinja and Ricknick going to be taking to the skies for Pulses as they try to aggress onto this point, but it's so incredibly difficult to attack with a Pharah. You really want to be holding a defense with that hero, but it might not even matter. Graviton Surge out, it's going to be the bigger bang combo. How many will it pick up? It only finds that Cybernetic Ninja, but it might just be enough, as Shipman was about 50% to that Dragon Blade. However, now it's going to be really difficult to clean up Ricknick in the sky, as Jalski going to find himself one of the last members of Reformed on this point.
Yeah, and the fact that they had the ultimates in tow, specifically that Graviton Surge, made that Ricknick Pharah pick a little bit more useful. As you had mentioned, it is a little bit more difficult to attack an enclosed point like that, and you could see they had gotten a couple kills, and Ricknick was under threat. He was relatively low to the ground, but the fact that they had already gotten a few members of Team Reform meant that they could get to this point where Ricknick absolutely is tearing through this team.
Oh my god, and then the follow-up Earthshatter from Nulls, while the rest of Team Reformed were watching the sky. They weren't looking at the ground, and Nulls, it's the afternoon over here, but he has breakfast on the mind because he absolutely made pancakes of Team Reformed.
They were flattened in that fight. Now, that said, it was a good fight. It was almost too decisive, arguably, because they still only have about 40% coming after this one. Team Reformed are going to be coming in once again. Watch this Diva mech and watch Silver Sean and his sound barrier.
There we go. Lucio still holding on to it for now. Now is not the time for music, but he's going to have to keep that ultimate for the next fight, as he will be eating a hammer to the face. Now Ricknick trying his best to challenge out this Junkrat, but he's going to be all by himself over here. Dr. Baka also gets DMAC. The rest of the fight is on this objective. Ricknick needs to get here soon and lay in some of that DPS for his team.
Yeah, one thing that I've been noticing is a complete lack of focus on the Pharah, and Ricknick gets another uncontested ultimate. Fortunately for Team Reformed, they were able to rotate away from that and live through it, but I gotta say, Ricknick has had a lot of freedom in the air.
Oh, absolutely, but MVP of that last fight is going to be the windowsill keeping Shipman alive against that barrage. But how lucky can a Junkrat be, as Team Pulses, they want to finish this out? Is it going to be a zoning? Diva self-destruct, but not just for zoning, picking up 2 kills off the back of that ultimate. Anti-Sorq lays down the hammer, but he himself will be donating his body to the kill feed as overtime ticks down here. Pulses are poised to recapture this point.
Yeah, and I gotta say, Anti-Sorq, you already had multiple members of your team dead. Do not unleash that Earthshatter. He actually a complete waste, because you already have 99%. You know that Team Pulses is not going to be able to take it. You're going to get at least one more opportunity. Now they're not going to have that ult in this fight, and Ricknick is still going to be doing a lot of damage from above.
Oh, absolutely. Look at this pincer coming in. Vitalia on one side, Pharah on the other. Where will Team Reform turn? Jalski unleashes that high noon, does find Nulls, and so despite all odds, Team Reform, they're bringing this back.
Yeah, and not in small part due to Ricknick going down, is going to be brought back finally, and Vitalia gets Shipman with that pulse bomb.
Oh man, Tracer taking himself out as well, however, so going to be missing a crucial amount of stall, but there's no matter. Ricknick himself, by himself, trying to turn the tide of this fight for his team, but he goes down to a hook. Now it's just going to be a little bit of trickle left. 1 monkey, 1 mercy. The angel in the sky is down, courtesy of a Coalescence by Tater Tot. And how long will the Fury sustain Nulls? He's getting blasted off of the point by SWCW. Team Reform take it, and they will take the round as well.
Yes, they did indeed take that, and these fights have been so back and forth, but you can see if Team Reformed is able to get in at all and make it past the initial parts of the fight, Team Pulses, the only fights that they've really been able to win have been off of the back of very intense ultimates. Like, wow, we still have some in the kill feed from the post-take kills that went over to Dr. Baka. But yeah, I mean, Team Pulses, they've been able to find good payment with their ultimates. They need to get a little bit more for those because
Yeah.
Team Reformed has been able to win fights that honestly should have been Team Pulse's.
Yeah, Pulse's problem seems to be that when they have a plan, they know exactly how to execute that. But once something starts to go wrong, the cogs no longer line up. They fall 1-1 and give up an easy point for Reformed. So now moving on into Control Center here, we actually see mirror compositions from both of these teams. And so looking for a little bit more synergy from Pulse's. The biggest one to watch out for, both of these dueling Junkrats. Who will get that tire first?
And it's going to be Ricknick this time around. The beef and bombs comp, as I'm going to go ahead and call it, coming out of both of these teams. And Team Pulses, usually you see teams rotating onto that high ground, which is what Team Reformed did. But this time around, Pulses actually went to that lower ground, and it seemed to surprise Team Reformed, and they lost some members early. Team Pulses, once again, with a very decisive team fight victory. Let's see if they can hold this choke.
Yeah, the question is, how will they absorb this aggression coming in from Team Reformed? And that's a pretty easy way. Just kill the Lucio. You don't need to defend when everybody on the offense is dead. And now we see another beautiful hammer from Null's. Vitalia just lasering a couple fools to death. A high charge Zarya right over here. He's going to melt this Roadhog. He's not going to, Jelski going to escape without his bacon cook this time around. But Vitalia is going to be extremely close to a Graviton Surge, and they can combo that beautifully with this tire Ricknick's about to inherit.
Yeah, and here they come once again. Null 5 starts it off with a kill on an anti-sork, though, and that's going to make it difficult for Team Reform to get into this choke point.
Oh, absolutely, and what a beautiful turn from Null's, utterly nullifying that exploding tire from Anal Shipman. And so Team Pulses with all kinds of advantage here. They have the positioning, they have the ultimates as well. Reformed, they're going to have to do something huge in order to break through this choke point. Maybe the whole hog?
The whole hog could definitely help. The problem is, and they also have the coalescence, but look at the ultimates on the side of Team Pulses. They have been able to rack them up because of this choke point. And look at Vitalia. He's got his ultimate up, so watch for the Graviton to come out. A nice rotation from Team Reformed means they're trying to find a different way to get in onto this point.
Good rotation coming in from Reformed. They're going to try something new, but the Graviton Surge is going to suck them up into the air. Where is the follow-through? No tire necessary when Jincha is going to be filling the kill feed with bodies. An excellent play there from Team Pulses. Great ultimate discipline we see coming in from this team. Perhaps they just really prefer to run this quad tank on this map because they are showing up huge.
Yes, the quad tank is indeed, or well, I guess triple tank.
Okay,
in
triple
this,
tank, yeah.
We're going to say that just the fact that Jincha has that much healing on Moira will make this a quad tank, an honorary quad tank setup. Here comes the sound barrier from Reform, though.
There we go, buffering the team in. Shipman with that tire. What will it find? Okay, it does connect onto the Lucio. A very good start for Team Reform. But Ricknick answers back, and there were no bodies on the point. Man alive. I think second C9? Is this D9 now? The second one today?
It might be, yeah, in this case. But yeah, I mean, here we have a fairly dominant Team Reformed losing on this second point, and Team Pulses, this did seem to suit their playstyle very much. So they brought that the triple tank with the Junkrat, and as soon as they won that first fight, it's so difficult to get through that choke point. Team Reformed, they tried to rotate around the side in one of their final fights, but they fell victim to Vitalia and the Graviton Surge. And so, I mean, if that had gone on a little bit longer, or maybe if they had tried that rotation earlier and maybe more often, it could have worked out better for them. But this is going to be a very different map, as we're going to see Pharos on both sides.
Yeah, dueling Rocket Queens here now between Ricknick and Shipman, each with their own Mercy in tow. Now the question is going to be, a very close one. Oh, luckily Nulls didn't use that jump earlier on as the fight extends onto this courtyard area. The question always, when you have these dueling pharmacy combos, will they be working on that 1v1 or focusing on the ground war first?
Yeah, right now Team Reform, they dove so deep into the backline trying to get onto Team Pulses' backline, but the thing is half of them are in the air. Rickton and Jincha able to lay down a lot of damage from above, and they were able to get a few kills early on. Now Team Reform fighting back. It's still anybody's game, though.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult to call here. Both teams trading fairly evenly, but with Jalski out, that's going to be a crucial part of this Team Reform defense cut down. But SWCW able to also answer back with a kill onto Vitalia, so both of these teams continuing to scrap it out. We actually see Tater Tot ticking up so close to that Valkyrie, already 75% there, and this advantage could be key in this next fight. Not going to be necessary, though, as Reform will be capturing first.
The epic duration of these initial fights just shows how close these teams are. And they've been incredibly scrappy. We're seeing ultimates coming out from both sides, before anybody even captures the point. This time around, Team Reformed, in those extended fights, well, they've shown that they can actually come out on top more often than not. Team Pulses, they're going to be coming back with a sound barrier, and they need to get something. Oh, well, they're not going to get much, as Shipman starts this off with a kill on Null.
Yeah, and that's going to be a huge ultimate for Team Reform because it drew out the sound barrier from Silver Sean, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't quite early enough. So that Lucio might want to have a Control Z that back because unfortunately it was only able to connect with 4 of his teammates. Despite all of that, though, Vitalia does get the kill onto Anti-Sork, Ricknick following up with a kill onto Tater Tot. So there's going to be a crucial amount of that sustain gone for Team Reform, and he gets the direct as well. There is only one Rocket Queen in the sky, my friend, and her name is Ricknick, or his name, excuse me.
Yeah, Ricknick, man, that was stressed out there for just a fraction of a second. The barrage, you're trying to like flail around and get those rockets to land on the opponent. Farah, finally, after it's done, able to get one accurate rocket to finish off Shipman, and that means Team Pulses are going to are going to take this point for the first time, start building up that percentage, and they actually are ahead in ult economy right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Silver Sean, he used his ultimate so early on in that fight that he's going to be much closer to it than Sky69 on the other side. But Anti-Sork will take him out of the fight, so no more ultimate generation for that booping frogman here as the fight once again devolves onto the point. So scrappy here right now, but Dr. Baka is able to get the kill onto Anti-Sork. You really need that Winston shielding, and oh, the Mercy gets the res off, but she herself dies, and things are not looking so hot for the red team.
Yes, not worth. They are able to, with all the focus onto the Mercy, pick up some kills on the other side of the fight. SWCW10, boy, that's a mouthful, is doing a lot of work on that D.Va, playing very aggressively, and it looks like Team Reformed are going to be able to retake this.
Oh yeah, that's quite a mouthful, but he is worth every syllable. We saw this D.Va lighting up the kill feed, finishing up so many of the kills off the back of the chip damage coming in from Farah and Jalski, and so really high value. Actually, that was something I wanted to mention on that control center. They actually were running a Roadhog, no D.Va, and so really missing that damage mitigation. Glad to see that Team Reformed have her in the lineup now, and we see Shipman laying in some more of those rockets, immediately finds Jincha, and that's kind of the only pick you need in this kind of fight.
Especially with the amount of ultimates that you have in your team's arsenal. They still have 3 remaining. Anti-Sork is going to have his up soon as well. They're not even going to need him, however, as Team Reformed once again find victory on this point. Team Pulses, they went in with really nothing, so a little bit of a junk rush for them. They're going to have one more opportunity to get on this point as the Team Reformed ticking up towards 100%, and they've got a few ultimates, does Team Pulses.
4 seconds, man. You got to zip that tracer in. Vitalia does start overtime, but the sound barrier dropped extremely early from Silver Sean, but you can't just sustain on this point. You need to be able to convert into frags. Now we see a D.Va self-destruct, not going to be finding anything, but Shipman is the one who will be getting Jincha in the back once again. This Farah has found the Mercy unerringly now 2 times in a row as Anti-Sork somehow kills himself. He's going to be sleeping with the fishes over here. Not a good time for a swim, man. Your team needs you on the point as Pulses and Reform continue to battle it out here. Oh, a great eat there from the D.Va. Utterly annihilates that ultimate barrage from Shipman, but he is brought back to life, but all of the air combo will be out now. Pulses looks set to take this point back from Reformed.
Yeah, Silver Sean and Jincha died early in that fight, but they were able to get back onto the point. And in the meantime, Team Pulses did a great job of staying alive through the onslaught of Team Reformed. And even though it was a little bit of a scattered engage, they popped that sound barrier very early to get onto the point. They actually end up coming out on top, and they bled a lot of ultimates from Team Reformed. They're not going to have anything coming into this next fight. They are going to have multiple attempts, however. I'm going to see how well Team Pulses is able to manage their economy in the last couple of fights here.
Yeah, but Shipman has now swapped onto the Genji for a little bit more. No, but he eats a pulse bomb immediately. You don't want to take that delivery, my friend. It's explosive. Return back to sender, but Reflect, unfortunately, not up for him. Ricknick also filling the kill feed. And now Reformed, they have one more shot at this. A lot is going to be resting on the back of Jalski's Tracer. He can utterly end this fight, perhaps, with a well-placed pulse bomb, but it's going to be a close thing.
Yeah, and here we come. Silver Sean has to go back onto the point to deal with the Genji. Anal Shipman was able to get on there. Anti-Sork goes down early in this fight, and we'll see if this pulse bomb can make it work for Ricknick as he goes down.
Yeah, Ricknick is going to be catching another exploding grenade over there. Jincha brings her other half back into the air, but he himself goes down once again to SWCW. This D.Va has such great sustain on this point. Team Pulses really need to focus her down, but they have so many targets they're turning their eyes to. Shipman is so close to this Genji Blade, he just needs to live a few more seconds and then he can unleash the Fury. But there's going to be a D.Va Bomb out on the field, and it will connect with the Lucio, but now is the go time for that sword. Slicing and dicing, no! He's not going to be picking up anything except a D.Va Bomb to the face. And such a scrappy fight from both of these teams.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's just so much going on right now. Overtime is ticking away. Team Reformed, they actually stepped off the point for just a moment, but they are going to be able to retake this, and that should just about do it. No, actually, Team Pulses gets back on to the point.
And they have two very high mobility characters here, a Lucio and a Tracer, but the thing is that they're so squishy, and Vitalia falls Jincha and Silver Sean right afterwards, and that will be the map for Reformed.
It was definitely a close one. I would have to say, Reformed seem to excel in these chaotic fights. Each individual player is able to stay alive a little bit easier, while Team Pulses, they thrive in team fights where they can come in more calculated and strategically and get ultimates like this. And right after this, by the way, I think we see the Earth Shatter come out there, and these are the times when Team Pulses thrives. I think that's going to lend itself more to some of these different map types, because Control obviously was more of Reformed's map.
Oh, absolutely. Team Pulses, it looked like they kind of had like one team composition that they really excelled at, and had more of a difficult time adapting to when they wanted to run that Pharah. Again, very reliant on those ultimates, as you mentioned, in order to make some kind of progress on the point. And unfortunately, you know, there will be times when you don't have that up and have to rely on that vanilla Overwatch. And unfortunately, in this case, Reformed outplayed them.
Another thing that I noticed in this one is, and even in previous matches, if you've been watching the stream, is the freedom that Pharah has had. So if you're one of these teams coming in, we've had Pharahs that have gotten we've got a lot of successful barrages, which barrage is known to be kind of a suicidal ultimate, especially with how low some of these players are going and just playing in general. How do you deal with that? How do you come into a match very intentionally to deal with that Pharah?
That's the question. I mean, you have to be watching, checking those corners, right? Anytime you come out of a choke, there might just be, you know, a deadly bird perched over there ready to, you know, drop something, not a poop, way deadlier on top of your head. So you want to get that, you know, D.Va mech ready. You want to get the bubble, maybe the shielding, or just choose a different engagement route, you know, maybe split up the team, something like that. I suppose, I mean, this is not Coach Ham Tornado's show. This is a WaWa's Bootcamp Amateur Uprising show. But that, yeah, there's definitely ways to deal with it.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be something that some of these teams have to unlock. And here's to the coaches. For these two teams, it's Pulses. For, awkwardly enough, Team Pulses. Boy, that's kind of convenient, isn't it? No, and then, of course, FAR for Reformed, that is. So I'm going to be watching that, but there's still a lot of Overwatch action left to be had. And the next map we're going to, I think it seems to lend itself to Team Pulses. We're going to be going to King's Row, and I'm seeing shades of that. What I call it, the beef and bombs composition potentially coming out there with the Junkrat and the triple tank.
Dude, I love that. That's amazing. The BB, the double B. Yeah, okay. But anyways, yeah, moving on into the map over here, Team Pulses versus Reformed. So far, they're actually showing fairly similar compositions, at least going with the same shield tanks. Shipman this time around is actually going to be picking up the off tank, the D.Va. No DPS for this man, but Jalski once again will be on that Roadhog. He didn't have too much of an impact when we saw him on Control Center, but you know, King's Row does have a little bit longer sight lines. And so he might be able to get a little more value off of that hook this time around.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing that. On the other side of things, defensively here, Team Pulses is not bringing what I expected. It is triple tank, but they're going to be bringing Vitalia on that Soldier 76, potentially anticipating a Pharah. I'm not sure. We still have yet to see exactly what Team Reformed is going to be bringing. Doesn't look like that's the case. Either way, though, Soldier 76 is going to be able to stand on that high ground and hopefully maintain a certain level of safety. The question is it going to be enough damage as Team Reformed are bursting onto the point?
Absolutely, and already Team Reformed charging through, moving all that meat onto the objective, but oh no, we see Anti-Sword going so incredibly low, and he will be the first one to fall. However, Dr. Baka does get demaxed, and with that, SW will be able to pick up, get a little bit more damage in, and so Reformed already looking so strong on this offense.
Yeah, it's delayed out here from Team Pulses, and Vitalia, he got pressured early by Shipman, but now able to get off some damage, able to pull a few kills over for the team. The thing is, Team Pulses, they don't have a good close respawn, so Team Reformed, after an extended fight, are going to be able to take this point and get that payload pushing.
One of the difficulties of running the 76 here, as you mentioned, Gil, it's really good to be able to hold that high ground, as Reformed certainly don't have very much of verticality. But the thing is, he's often going to find himself completely alone. And you oftentimes may be running a Zenyatta to help him burst down those tanks a little bit easier, or at least, you know, getting a Zen or an Ana there to throw down that anti-nade, because Jincha and Silver Sean don't really have any kind of healing vertically.
No, they definitely don't. They're going to have a few ultimates. I wouldn't be surprised if Vitalia switches off of the 76 after using the ultimate. The Tac Visor is available, but look at Team Reformed. They're going to have a grab, and they're going to have a lot to follow it up with. They could honestly pick any two of these ultimates and probably make something work.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Graviton Surge into Whole Hog, the Gravity Hog, is definitely going to be a grinder for Pulses, as we see. No, it gets 8 hungry. Hungry Diva's going to deny SW that chance.
Yes, and Team Reform, they pop the sound barrier. They're doubling down on this one. They're pushing forward. And actually, they're maintaining their health bars well enough to stay in this. No 5, though, getting the shatter on the sky. That could tip things into defensive favor.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This Reinhardt Nulls has been so huge for his team. Not only great hammer and shield management, but a lot of his Earth Shatters have found so much value, as Earth Shatter often something that whiffs more likely than not. And Team Pulses, once again, showing that good ultimate discipline. They'll still have 3 to their name. Vitalia, you know, you might have been right. He may have wanted to switch, but he just hasn't died yet. I will swap, guys. I just haven't been, nobody's just killed me yet. So there will be a Tac Visor incoming.
And here comes the Graviton. It's right up against the wall. The Reinhardt shield is there. Team Pulse is not necessarily in position to rotate onto it. Finally now getting the first kill as Vitalia gets that one. He's holding on to his ultimate Tac Visor. You don't want to use that when you're this low, but you also need to win this fight.
That's right, but not going to need that Soldier 76 contribution. You can go back to respawn, rest up, old man, because your tank's got your back. Ricknick over there getting some beautiful finishing kills. And Knowles, check this out, man. He's got another shatter.
He's got another shatter up. Ricknick was able to make it happen with his Graviton in that fight, and now they're going to have a shatter in this one. And with how chaotic these fights have been, Anti-Sork has his shatter, so that is going to be what we're going to be wanting to watch, is who can get off the best ultimate. But here comes Dr. Baka with a nice zoning ultimate, forcing Team Reinformed into this fight.
Neither of the Reinhardts are going to connect with anything, and now Vitalia with the last-second desperation Tac Visor, just trying to finish up, see how long he can stall this payload out. But one old soldier versus the world. Team Reform going to have an easy time finally getting some movement on this payload.
Yeah, that Tac Visor was about as successful as maybe I would have expected it to be against all of the tanks from Reformed. I mean, he's firing into shields, he's firing into a Diva defense matrix. Not a good time, and he's going to go ahead and switch off to the Tracer. And Pulse Bomb could be a lot more valuable. Going to be able to build it up a lot faster as Shipman gets a 3K with his bomb.
Money right there for this Diva, showing that he is deadly not just on DPS, but equally good on the off tank. And this should be an easy point B for Reformed as they take care of Vitalia. That annoying mosquito in the back, not going to be able to stall for too long.
And the best part about that is they really didn't expend very many resources to get that. And they nullified Team Pulses early enough that Team Pulses wasn't able to gain any ultimate charge really from that fight. And not to mention, Anti-Sork is going to probably have a shatter midway through this next fight, and they have a few other ultimates in tow that they can use. This might be a junk rush for Pulses, but they have to delay as long as they can. There's not much room left in this map.
Oh yeah, Anti-Sork though losing out on the Rhine mind games this time around, but nonetheless Reformed continuing to mount this pressure on the defense. They have that Whole Hog at the ready, a sound barrier as well to try and buffer their attempts, but with that D-Mech onto Shipman, once again you need that damage mitigation. Team Reformed likely going to fall back a little bit, and Shipman going to make that put that Bunny Blaster into overtime, trying to get that mech back before they engage. But no, sound barrier right out. They want to push this.
They do indeed. Diva is going to go down, D-Mech right in time to fall down to the Omnic Underworld. And Team Reform, they haven't used very many ultimates. They popped both Sky and Tater Tot's ultimates, so no support ultimates coming to this next one, but they're going to keep this payload pushing. and they are going to get at least one more defensive opportunity as Team Pulses.
Oh, I'm expecting huge amounts of ultimate CC particle effects flying here and there because both of these teams are loaded in ults. They just need to get a little bit of contest going on here. Null's going to start the thing, and no, it's going to be an Earth Shatter for the side of Anti-Sork as the dueling Diva Bombs come through. Anal Ship Man going to be picking up the 2 for Dr. Baka's 1, and 2 is more than 1, man. And that's going to be all that Team Reform need most likely here, as it's going to be a lone tank, 1 support. Dr. Baka going to get demeched, and there we go, a boop off of the point for Sky 99. However, all of the respawns are back in for Team Pulses. Everybody's caught in that Graviton Surge, but it's only going to mean that Reformed are going to take a toe off of the point. No kills over there as Sky 99 once again finds his counterpart in Silver Sean. The Sound Bearer out for Team Reform, but this is likely a lost fight for Team Pulses. Hammer down, just going to be a little bit of extra icing on top of a 1 fight, and Team Reform, they're going to finish this map.
Boy, that was a good amount of delay and such a long fight, but let's just go all the way back to the beginning of that fight because we had a lot of ultimates on both sides, but honestly, Team Reformed, there were 2 key plays that turned that in their favor. First of all, they completely nullified Null's Shatter. That was Anti-Sork that was able to do that. And right before that, SW was able to get his Graviton down onto the ground. And with those 2 plays, they were able to solidify that fight. And honestly, a good job from Team Pulses to delay it out. They bought themselves probably a good 30, 40 seconds with that. 1 minute and 31 seconds is the target that they're trying to beat, and now that they are going to be on the attack.
Yeah, however, you know, finishing out Kings Row with any kind of time back, Reformed going to be patting themselves, patting themselves on the back because this is a very tough map, especially around that 3rd corner. So if nothing else, Reformed have at least guaranteed themselves another chance to attack and put some more distance on the map, as they will be tasked with holding this defense.
And they have a win condition as well, obviously. Just hold them anywhere. It's pretty general. But one thing that I think is going to really help them in this is they are not going to be bringing that Soldier 76, and I actually like their team comp a lot better. Bringing Shipman on that Junkrat, I think, is going to be a little bit better. It's going to be harder for Team Pulses to just get in there to move those tanks right up front. He's going to be able to build up a lot of ult charge. He should have his ult in the first fight very easily, and so we'll see if that Riptire can turn things around. They're just going to have a little bit better chance than I think that Team Pulses had with that 76.
Yeah, Pulses, all of their shielding defense matrix work's going to have to be absolutely on point against the 2 shield breakers in Shipman and Jalski on the side of Reformed. However, we're opening up here now. Pulses, they need to finish this map if they don't want to go down in this set 2-0 against Reformed. The red team on the other side, all they have to do is keep them from completing this map.
Yes, and just to remind everyone, it is a best 2 out of 3, so Team Reform, they are firmly in the driver's seat, and they're going to start this fight off with a kill on the Silver Sean, and they're going to continue driving that home if they can.
Yeah, Ricknick, though, he takes out Anal Shipman and Sky to boot, and so now Pulses have cracked that window open. It's going to be a yawning, gaping hole as Baka in here in the back just adding some of that mini missile damage and pushing all of Reformed off of the point, and I don't think they're going to try and recontest this.
No, and yeah, Team Pulses coming out firing. Ricknick, he is their resident explosives expert. Of course, we saw him on Pharah quite a bit in the previous map, this time opting for the Junkrat, and him getting those early kills onto Shipman, and I think it was it Sky, helped them to pound home that point. Now has his Riptire up, and see if he uses it in this next fight.
Yep, crossing streams now, both coalescences out from these teams, but Shipman's tire is the one that's going to land right on top of Null's. You know, it's kind of interesting. Reinhardt's wearing so much armor, and oh my goodness, that fatty shatty once again from Anti-Sork. Null's was the one with the hammer time this time around, but Anti-Sork will be the one coming out on top in this dogpile.
Yeah, and one key about that, he got the shatter on to Jinsha. So not having the healing from Moira, we've actually seen Moira's healing up people through ultimates like Graviton Surge and Earth Shatter, but you can't do that if you're on the ground. And so maybe a little bit mispositioned, trying to keep the team alive, obviously. They're going to have to come out here again and make another attempt. SWC has the Graviton available and is going to, actually no, it's going to be the other side that throws it out. Vitalia gets it down for the big bang combo.
Everything coming up exploding for Ricknick and Vitalia. A beautiful combo there from Team Pulses once again, showing that their set plays are nothing to be scoffed at. Team Reform, they will be following back as this payload makes its easy way through this Streets phase, but Reformed with their own chance at an ultimate combo, the Graviton, Surge, and Whole Hog still in their back pocket.
Well, yeah, and this is where I'm looking at Dr. Baka. You know you want to eat that Graviton Surge, and I hope you know that it is indeed up. He has the ultimate available as well, and he's going to go ahead and place it right around that L curve, which is also very difficult to observe around. It does get Tater Tot, and that's going to be a lot of healing missing out on the side of Team Reformed.
Yeah, oh boy, but the tire is going to even things up here from Shipman. And so despite that great early pick from Baka, Null just gonna say hello to the Netherworld there. Yeah, the tire was more than enough to even things out for Reformed there. And Pulses, they're gonna have to try once again, down in ults except for that Coalescence.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They're gonna have Ricknick's ult fairly soon. A few bombs in there is gonna net them that Riptire. But the problem is they're going up against a Shatter and a Whole Hog, and that's gonna be difficult to push through. Team Pulses, they may want to play this a little bit slower, build up some ults, maybe look for some pick opportunities and use that Junkrat to just lay in the damage. But yeah, they're at least going to push Team Reform back to the payload.
Yeah, that's right. And now Ricknick so close to that tire. Where will he let it fall? Shipman goes down as well. So now Pulses don't have to worry about that tire coming out. But once again, Anti-Sork with the hammer down. His name is Anti-Sork, but he might as well be called MC Hammer Time because nobody will be touching that card.
No, not really. Not in any meaningful way. Ricknick is here. He did indeed build up his tire, but yeah, you don't want to use that at this point. Yeah, and Team Reformed, they used the tools that they had, namely Anti-Sork's Shatter to completely nullify Team Pulses. Once again, we had mentioned Team Pulses, that was not necessarily their fight to win. Now is their chance because they've got an Earth Shatter of their own.
Yeah, that's right. But things looking good for Pulses in terms of ults. But with this Graviton Surge up for SW, you could end this fight before it even begins. And Tater Tot still with that Coalescence on the ready. But once again, it's going to be these two Junkrats. Has Ricknick been lifting because he's going to have to carry this team in the next fight?
Boy, and look at Team Pulses. They've got Ricknick actually on the side now, coming back with his team. He's looking for a little bit of a cheeky flank, but you can see very much a frontline defense and attack posturing for both of these teams as SW does get the grab out.
And there we see the Sound Barrier, though, answering back from Silver Sean as the Coalescence is invested from Jinsha. However, no kills for either team thus far. They're still scrapping it out. Anti-Sork, though, going to be one of the first ones down here. And how long can SW hold here as this Zarya is taken so low? The Coalescence trying to keep him up. A Tater Tot will be thrown into the fire, cooked there by Ricknick. And so Team Pulses, they're going to be surging forward into a point B take.
Yeah, and if only Tater Tot was able to bring out that Coalescence a little bit earlier in that fight. After you lose Anti-Sork, it becomes, I mean, that's at least a third of your beef that you're now not keeping alive, whereas Team Pulses, they were firmly in control of that fight after that point, and they're actually already in control of this fight from the onset. Shipman goes down early to some headshots from Dr. Baka. Not to mention, look at all the ultimates on the side of Team Pulses. Vitalia is going to be looking for a huge Graviton, and this is the opportunity right now.
Yeah, Diva's out, and he's waiting, not sure what he's waiting for. Perhaps for the flank, perhaps to combo with Ricknick's tire, but it's going to be the exploding unicycle out for Shipman first. Oh, and Vitalia does manage to find that ultimate. However, the rest of the team are falling back. Pulses has lost their own Junkrat, so they're going to be banking their ultimates for an all-in fight in the next engage.
Yeah, and just to revisit Vitalia not using the Graviton there, it may have been because he thought SW on that Diva was trying to play cheeky. So Diva flew up, and that's the point where we're like, well, hey, Diva's not there anymore. Let's go ahead and use it. But Diva can actually project the barrier down and swallow it up anyway, but it's not going to be swallowed up this time. Vitalia gets a kill on Shipman with that ult.
Yeah, and Shipman also able to chime in a little bit even after Death takes out Rick Nick's tire. However, Pulses still have tools in their back pocket, but no, it's going to be once again Anti-Sork laying down the defenders on their back. He actually outright kills Rick Nick with that ultimate. And now the team Pulses are severely down in terms of manpower. A great hook from Jalski as well dunks Baka into the pit. And so down to their last minute Pulses, they got to back off a little bit. A wasted coalescence from Jincha as well.
Yeah, they needed to back off a long time ago. Now they're just feeding reformed. Wow, reinformed. I just got reinforced on the mind.
Because of all those great run plays,
exactly.
Man.
Yeah, you know, it's just very reminiscent of the good old days. No, but back to this game, Team Pulses, they used all of their ultimates, and they gave Reformed a bunch of ultimates on their side. Tater Tot starting this with off, and there's only 42 seconds left.
That's right, and Null's going down once again. Back off, Team Pulses. They don't have the speed boost, but they're going to be falling back to their spawn as quickly as possible. They have one more shot. They drew out the coalescence. Sound barrier is down. All Reformed have is this single tire, so Pulses, they need to be playing a little bit more grouped up. Easier said than done, though, because once again, a death ball works best together. And look at this positioning from Shipman. He's ready. You gotta check your corners, yo. It's coming in from behind. The call is coming from inside the house.
Sneaky, sneaky tire there. Shipman gets Jinja, and that is exactly the target that you want. You don't need anything other than that. That's going to be a severe lack of healing from Pulses as the time ticks away.
Severe lack of healing, severe lack of bodies as well. Lucio barely able to start overtime as the Graviton Surge comes out from Vitalia, but there is nobody left to try and get those kills. Moira spraying and praying with all of her might, but Jincha goes down a zoning diva bomb as well. And now Silver Sean splattered across that payload via a beautiful hammer, and overtime down, Reformed. They are going to move forward.
They move forward indeed. And man, Team Pulses, after that fight where they had the ultimate advantage and weren't able to actually take the fight, they just didn't have anything left in their tank. Well, and not only that, but they Reinformed then had the advantage with ultimates, but they also had a lot of room left. So there was still two fight territory, which means Team Pulses, they would have had to get at least one play like that one. And the fact that these plays of the games are going like that, and yet Reformed is the one getting the victories, just really speaks to the difference between these two teams.
Yeah, it's just so unfortunate. I mean, I think a lot of it just came down to the fact that running such similar compositions, you really need to have everything, all of your I's dotted, your T's crossed in order to outplay your enemy teams. Exactly. But yeah, and especially the fact that Reformed was running Jalski on that Roadhog as well. So much shield bursting ability, as well as the whole hog to just blow people off at the point. A great CC ultimate requires a lot less team synergy than trying for that big bang combo with the Diva Self-Destruct and the Graviton Surge. And so unfortunately, Team Pulse is just not quite able to bring it together.
They weren't able to bring it together, but I got to give it up to the team and to Pulses, the coach as well. They did have some really good set plays. And
absolutely.
Depending on what they were working on, I think that is something that we have seen very apparent from them. They know how to put those together. The thing is, Reformed, they just have those, that's like 10% of the fights when you're able to actually get those. 90% of the other fights were going in favor of Reformed, and they are going to be moving on in the bracket. They're still in it. They're going to try to be getting a piece of that $1,000, $1,100 total dollars of prize money.
$1,250.
$1,250? Is it really? Wow.
I do believe so. Yeah.
And I'm not getting any of that. I'm not doing a good enough job anyway, and I'm not the real MVP. These guys that are playing are. So we're going to take a short break. We're going to be back with more Amateur Rising Season 2 community event here in just a bit.